The words have gotten all distorted, but what they meant to say was not reported. Before the coaches come to town, we gonna FORTituders, welcome back. Thank you for tuning in once again. My esteemed and troubled partner, Brinton Payne, is back in studio, fresh off his COVID-19 quarantine to continue his insightful grumblings. Welcome back, buddy. We're glad you're okay.
Thanks for not full-time replacing me with Brian Estridge. That was real nice. And, you know, one quick thing on the comments about the paleness that I succumbed to during the COVID. I'm sorry I didn't have like a bronzing agent that before you came over for that. I noticed there were some remarks on the last show.
Let me just say you look fantastic. We're glad you're back.
Yeah.
So please tell us quickly about your experience behind the closed doors.
You know, it was a lot heavier than I thought. So, I mean, I had some breathing problems that kind of were from old school. It kind of changed. And then like the quarantine thing, I mean,
got to
it's
you a little bit.
Serious stuff. Yeah. I mean, you don't want this. You don't want this deal. And I was vaccinated, you know, and
you had the J&J, correct?
Yes, and then it was recalled the next day. So I think it was probably because I got it. That was a big issue. My wife
lost smell, taste, the traditional symptoms.
Yeah, for a couple days, and then got it back. Yeah, I ate actually Babe's fried chicken.
Oh, good.
With no taste or smell, which it was
it's
still
like wasted
delicious.
Calories then, right?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. No, it was but it was delicious.
I didn't say you look like you lost weight, so you do look good though. And that voice you hear in the background, you hear that lady talking?
Yeah.
We are lucky to have the mayor, Mattie Parker, in house today.
I thought that I got it from her because I was around her on the time of.
You were already positive at that point, and we definitely made you stand 12 feet away when I saw you.
This rumor now.
Okay,
we're going to quell that before we even begin.
But before we get to you, Mattie, we have a couple things to talk about, which involve you as well. But this week in Fort Worth is a very special week because it's TCU SMU week. Last year it was postponed because of the pandemic stuff. But annually, when these two teams play, there's a big to-do in this Metroplex. You and Mayor Eric Johnson from Dallas have gone to Twitter to enact some bets of sorts. These are very exciting for us. I think the trash talk erupted on Twitter with the promise of some pie. Mayor Johnson was promoting the Dallas-based Humble Pie Company, and then you chime back with Esperanza's The Joti Panaderia. I'm probably saying that.
Do you get to throw the pie in the face, Mayor, or how does that work?
Well, I actually didn't even think about that. If he's sending pie over, then I could go over and throw it in his face. Yeah. We keep upping the ante.
I would prefer the humble pie in the face over like a Mexican dish in the
like
face.
Like a churro in the face?
Yeah, okay, that would just probably linger longer, you know.
But aroma. Either way, somebody's going to get something delicious to eat. Yes. I assume that will be consumed at city council or something, as well as the loser will put on the jersey of the winning team. So as you told us prior to the show, you already have a jersey fitting coming for Eric down the road.
We're ready for that.
So that'll be it's always very exciting. It keeps people engaged because that little Twitter fight is very good watch, right? It's good to see. So thank you for doing that.
And you know Eric from a previous life.
Yes, we actually played each other in high school. I think very highly of the man. He's done a great job. We played each other in high school, like I said, and we've stayed kind of in contact over the years. But obviously, that's really neat that you guys are on contemporaries and opposite sides of the spectrum. So, but it's a really cool connection there. So I know you get along with them just fine. So. Before we get to you, Mayor, we wanted to pimp ourselves a little bit, but check us out on roxomediahouse.com. That's where our show lies these days, as well as FORTitude FW, our Twitter account, and additionally on the Fort Worth Inc. website where we now reside. So if you have more interest in Roxo Media House or the FORTitude podcast, please check us out. So with that being said, Mayor, we're ready to get into our first third visit person on the show. So thank you for being here.
Yeah,
you must be the most loved person if we've got you on 3 times.
I know. I guess I'm kind of nervous because I can't. If I don't do well, you won't invite me back, or is it just I'm getting to the quota, whatever you have?
You'll always be welcome.
Okay,
That's
good.
right. There's always a place for you here.
Okay, good.
We'll begin with this difficult question. How has your life changed in the last
It was a very serious question, Brinton. By the way, I just realized you have a lava lamp, so now I'm a little distracted.
It's only beginning to warm up. Something's dysfunctional with it, but
it's okay. It's totally changed, right, in a lot of ways, and then others, none at all. So it's also, I won't lie, it's not easy at all. And so we've got three kids, 2 boys in the house, lots of sports. We're oversubscribed right now. Mm-hmm. So trying to navigate that and book in the days where I need to be, which is at home and with them, which is actually not home right now. It's on a baseball field or a soccer field.
Yeah.
But we also just passed our budget on Tuesday, which was a big success for us as a new council to work together. I think you can be proud of not only the budget and what's in it, but also the way we conducted the work to get us to this place, which is, I think, most important. And just trying to get a rhythm, honestly. And the other thing I would say is I don't want to chase squirrels, right? I want to focus on the business of the city, working with city management, and also some big initiatives. So everything I say yes to, I've said no to something else. So I'm not perfect at that yet. And the staff's been awesome and kind of helping me navigate that a little bit.
Yeah.
Because people are starting to ramp back up with all their events. And I would love to be at all of them. But it is amazing how many requests we get. And I lived it, right? When I worked with Betsy, I knew that.
How many on a daily basis on average would you say?
I think you could probably say at least 25 come in
per
day at least.
How many are you able to take care of a day?
It just depends on when they are.
Right.
If they're in the work day, we're getting there. Lots of, even for small meetings, welcome remarks, keynote speeches. I think I've given 10 speeches this week.
Well, and this is the first time we've had a younger council with presumably not grandchildren age, but more like direct family, young guys and gals at home. So talk about, because that came up last week too, when you guys were going through the budget, on just some of what you all are talking about and discussing on changing the schedule a little bit, to make it more amenable for families and those with them. So people can serve, who have families.
So we had a presentation on Tuesday to talk about a proposed new schedule that we'll vote on at one of the upcoming new meetings. And we've got consensus from council that it's the right direction to go. I've been frustrated for years at the efficiency of how we conduct meetings. We're one of the only big cities in the country, maybe the only, that has these late 7 p.m. start times. We have stacked work sessions on the same day as council. Most of our council meetings since I started, you sit down in a chair maybe at 1 for committee hearings, and you don't go home until after 9 or 10.
Yeah, it's tough.
It's not productive. And I'm really candid. If I can do the city's business and do a great job, and I am, and still be home for dinner and bed, that's where I should be.
Yeah.
There is no reason to be up there that late.
So how do you change that time? Is it more like a 4 or 5 o'clock?
Well, what we're going to do is split the work sessions and council. So alternating Tuesdays. One Tuesday might be the work session. We'll start around noon, work through lunch, do executive session, open work session, longer time periods for policy discussions, take a break, and then do a public comment period starting at 6 p.m. It's just focus on public comment, go home. The next Tuesday would be a council meeting. And those council meetings that are the business of the city to be passed would either be at 5:30 in the evening, usually focus on a zoning docket, or at 10 a.m. So we'll keep a 10 a.m. meeting. And we'll still have a full schedule, right? And plenty of opportunity for public comment interaction. But I think the efficiency of those meetings will be better. And what's even better, I didn't think about this, I should have, is how happy city staff are and department heads. Because it saves taxpayer dollars. They're up there for comp time all those hours in the evening, waiting for one agenda item.
Yeah.
And now most of their business can be conducted during the workday as well.
Like on that huge zoning docket, how late were you guys there last week or 2 weeks ago?
We got out of there just before 11.
Yeah. I mean, and that's a starting at 7:30, 8 a.m. day, right? Because you're going through all of that. So
I'm encouraged by it. And I was pretty public about this week on another discussion with Fort Worth Report that I'm not going to do this forever. My fellow council members are not going to do this forever. But we want to be able to look somebody in the eye and say, JW, you can absolutely do this job and have a family. I don't want to leave the office.
I don't know if JW could do it. I mean,
she just said I could, though. I have to believe her.
He can. You totally can, Brinton.
We have it so kind.
It's on record now. So thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome. It's on record. So my point is, I feel like I'll fail if I don't demonstrate and change even the small things to help more people serve in public office.
That's refreshing.
Yeah.
Well, so you mentioned already once, but we talk a little bit about the budget you just got passed. For people like me who don't quite grasp the whole magnitude of the situation, how does a process like that work?
They don't have budgets in college football? I don't understand. The players don't
likely do, but I wasn't included in those meetings, though, Brinton.
They left you out.
Yes, they did.
So actually, the city manager and department heads work for several months preceding the presentation to council. They present decision packages on behalf of their department of where they want to go from a departmental level. Those get approved or disapproved by the city management from a proposal, and then it's proposed to city council. We have numerous public hearings. We sort of ebb and flow with those numbers, decide what we're going to keep or not keep. Some of the biggest discussions this budget cycle concerned the number of firefighters that we have in the city. So what we decided upon was to add 10 additional firefighters to the second class that'll be graduating in July of 2022, as well as fund a staffing study that's comprehensive across the entire department to look at what our needs are. And that includes several things, not just number of people, but also firehouses and infrastructure. And the issue had the potential to really bring the wheels off of the budget bus, honestly. But a lot of great discussion with my fellow council members. We were all working together about where we wanted to be, because we have, if we had to narrow down one responsibility of city government, it's public safety.
Sure.
Right. And streets and trash pickup, all those things. So we have to get that right. But I think this is the better long-term solution to go through this staffing study and really evaluate what the needs are.
Yeah.
So,
and real quick, Brinton, if I might ask, these meetings you're having with all these folks, how can any contention there, any arguments ever? How often does it happen that you guys get in a situation where there's disagreements and you're having to not yell but have a very heated conversation with somebody? Is that a common occurrence?
Well, it's common, but it's the way we conduct ourselves, I think you'd be proud of. I mean, I don't think you're seeing anything play out in open session that we're not doing behind closed doors,
right,
so to speak, in private meetings. I'm trying to spend more time, because I think it's necessary, one-on-one or in smaller meetings with council members. And here's why. I have things I want to accomplish, absolutely, but those are just ideas. They can't be policy until I have 5 votes and soon to be 7 with redistricting. So it's just smart politics, right? To whip count and know where your votes are.
Yep.
The second thing is, I love the perspective of those council members because they ran for office and are serving for a reason. They want to accomplish things too. A lot of those items can absolutely be done without me, so to speak, unless it was for votes at council. But there are several things that they would love to have the help of the mayor's office. And I don't mean me individually. I mean the bully pulpit of the office, because that's what it's really, that's the power there. To help them further their main objectives.
Have you been able to kind of gauge in just this short amount of time of like what those kind of requests for those are? And then that, and I will comment, and I think I told you this when I saw you earlier this week, you've done a really good job. I mean, you can see it as you guys interact. I think that there is a respect there that is, it really exists, even with folks who are coming from far different worlds than maybe you've come from.
Truly.
I mean, it really does show. And I think that you all are still working on the kind of the timing of things and kind of the efficiency and kind of getting through these kind of meetings. But I will, on the flip side of that, you've given people the opportunity to speak from where they're coming from in those decisions. And so back to the question is, have you been able to kind of assess like, okay, I know this is really important to you, and I know that, and has your work in the Texas legislature actually helped train that? That's where we kind of learned all this stuff,
Absolutely.
right?
Absolutely. I feel every day I'm really lucky to have had that experience, because I think it does kick in. I'll give you a good example. Recently, this is happening right now in real time. Councilmember Elizabeth Beck is down in Austin testifying on behalf of her office and a few other council members about redistricting, specifically the Senate District 10 seat, which is a Fort Worth seat. The maps are not done. There's plenty back and forth. The newest map, you probably know this, is extremely rural, way west of Tarrant County. I want a Fort Worth seat, because rural versus urban used to be a big fight in the legislature. It's not anymore. And so what's interesting about that, Elizabeth and I might disagree on little things or like what we're going to say about redistricting, our frustrations there. But we both agree we want what's best for Fort Worth. And so that's a great example of, Elizabeth, go do that. Testify. She's doing an awesome job. She doesn't need the mayor's permission to do that. But I'll share with her kind of my strategy might be phone calls, like what behind the scenes. I want to know what this map could look like and be different.
Yeah.
So that's just maybe an example for listeners. Yeah.
Has the job been everything you imagined and more? Are there things that you're frustrated with? These might be kind of an open-ended question, but everything you've done in 3 months, and there's some good stuff there. Are there things that you are just like, this is not going to get done? I'm having problems. Is everything you expected it to be? So
it is everything I've expected it to be and a lot more. So having staffed for different elected officials for lots of years, almost 2 decades, it is really different when it's your name on the door.
Yeah. You go to bed at night kind of thinking about just all those asks in a different way.
You do. And luckily I can compartmentalize okay, which is helpful, but it's just a unique feeling, and I'm still Mattie, and I have friends that want to call me mayor, and that drives me nuts. I just want to be the person in the community that can get some stuff done, roll up our sleeves and move on. I've been pretty candid that I think the way we train up the next generation of leaders is important. God bless Mayor Price for doing that for 10 years. I mean, I've been doing it for 3 months. I'm like, how did she do that?
Yeah.
It's truly amazing.
Yeah.
I'm also recognizing it's okay for me to have my own way of doing business. We're very different personalities. And people sometimes assumed that was funny during the campaign. Y'all heard this Betsy 2.0 a lot.
Mhm.
We're really different
Yeah.
in terms of the way we are. I mean, I'm very much more of an introvert than Betsy is.
Mhm.
And my willingness to show up at everything and do all those things is just different because of my family. So all that to say, the expectation is different. I haven't had necessarily frustrations. It's more about, I get in my own head. I know effective advocacy. I know when things can get done well. And so I'm really cautious and careful right now to roll anything out until those pieces are in place.
Right.
Because 3 pillars I really want to work on while I'm mayor are infrastructure, economic development, and education. And a lot of that just has to do with the city of the future that we have to have. And if you don't focus on those elements, where are you? And the potential of landing Rivian is amazing, right? And the groundwork that was laid even before and really during that election. And so thinking about economic development with a Rivian, or if we don't get Rivian at postmortem,
Mhm.
right? I'm still very hopeful, but that's just something I'm considering right now on the Eco Devo side. Education is a huge opportunity for us, but I want more people to feel like it's a crisis. And a crisis not of we're blaming people, a crisis of the whole community needs to care about this.
Yeah.
And on infrastructure, for certain people, it's a sexy topic. For others, it's like, I don't understand what she's talking about. But we just have to plan for the future of this city. Second fastest growing city, that's not changing any. You can learn from cities like Austin about what you don't do to plan for infrastructure changes,
Certainly.
mobility in general. So from an expectations level, I think some people are like, what's a press conference going to be about?
Mhm.
And I'm kind of careful about that and trying to sort through what that looks like on
You
announcing
mentioned a
things.
second ago your private life, and if you mind me getting personal, are you able to maintain a private life? Because I know you can't go to the store anymore like you used to. You can't drive down the street and just go for a walk. And obviously, you're very busy, but how do you maintain a private life with all that's happening in front of you every day?
Yeah. Do you know when the bulk trash in my neighborhood is?
Yeah,
picked up? I'm
Monday.
sure-
Mine's Monday. We have a lot of boxes. We missed last month. So yes and no. And David and I are trying to figure that out together, and just take our time. And just this, good example this week. I'm like, I'm not going to survive the month of October. So we're going to have to move some stuff around.
Mhm.
Right. And that was just me looking at the calendar and going, oh my gosh, so lesson learned. We're going to have to be more careful what we put on the schedule anyway.
Yeah.
So
Well, the
anticipating
world
that.
tends to do everything in their lives in September and October. I
Right?
don't
Especially in
understand.
Fort
It's like,
Worth.
let's
I think
go
'cause our
all
weather's
summer.
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's not do anything during the summer.
Uh-huh.
And then September and October, we'll plan every social event, every back to school event. It's just crazy. And
Yes.
then every work event too.
Yes. So that's piece of it. Personal lives, carving out time. Luckily, we've got a few things coming up. We're just, a personal trip or two, which is really nice for us. The boys are great. They're back in school and playing sports. So
Yeah.
they're doing well.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about y'all's house, but as long as you're there in the mornings, taking to school, breakfast, all those things, and the evenings, like for dinner time,
Mhm.
your family's pretty good.
Yep.
But the moment you start moving parents around, kids hate that.
Yeah.
And I hate that personally.
Yeah.
So trying to protect that time as
Is
best I can.
David, is he a good cook? Does he know how
David
to?
doesn't cook. He can do a lot of other things really well.
Really?
But we were
Interesting.
blessed to have my mom who
Oh,
lives
that's
with
great.
us during the week. So she
Mhm.
cooks as well.
Does she go back to Heiko during the weekend?
She does. Yeah.
Oh.
She goes to the farm on the weekend,
Oh,
probably
very good.
just sleep for 48 hours.
Yep.
Because we're so crazy and then
Yeah.
goes back to it. Yeah.
So we asked about just some of the, the good things at City Hall. Do you have some complaints? Like, I mean, I've had the coffee there. It's like,
It's
drinkable,
horrible.
but
It's like watered down.
yeah. Is there any been steadfast like changes to that? Like, we need Starbucks in here if we're going to continue as the 12th largest city.
Obviously, we have a multitude of local coffee shops you could choose from to have it in the new City
yeah,
Hall.
Yeah.
Well, honestly, I'm trying not to complain too much about those things because we are going to move into a new City Hall.
Right.
And there's so much opportunity in what that looks like. But I do think the little things matter,
Yeah.
honestly. And coffee is probably one of
So
them. Or just
how does that
atmosphere.
look? When is that going to happen? I went to an open house there a couple weeks
Yeah.
ago, and a lot of the staff were like, we're not really sure, and
Yeah.
I know there are challenges on, you can say this, but the kind of how you overall do the management of the people, but then also how you fit into a space that's really accessible to the public
Yeah.
too.
So Athenian Group is who we hired to help us go through that visioning process. And we've all interviewed with them to talk about what our priorities would be. So I felt a lot of faith in the opportunity there. I'm so excited for city staff to have a workspace that they can be proud of and empowered in and excited to come to work.
Not in a dungeon.
Not in a dungeon, like planning and development. Right
Mhm.
now it's a bifurcated department, but you know what I'm saying? If you've had to do work down there, that's awful. And
Mhm.
I've complained about it for years. I remember when there were community complaints and this is when Randall Harwood was department director. I said, spend that money on new work environment.
Yeah.
Because I think it matters to how you're able to do your jobs. Right now, it's very siloed. And I think in the new city facility, we will prioritize that department as a critical component of economic development. So I'm excited about that also.
Yeah.
And then the activation space around City Hall that's so possible. It's by no means the equivalent, but think about the state capitol in Austin and how busy those capitol grounds usually are, beautifully kept. You have open place for public protest or open place for a parade or demonstrations.
Yeah.
You have people get engaged. We need that kind of space in a city hall. And I think that location will provide that. Yeah.
We've noticed, as many people have, that you have your own podcast now.
Yes.
It's
I was
go
very
time.
inspired by you guys.
That's very sweet of you to
Wind
say.
beneath my wings.
I
right?
don't believe you, but that's very nice of you to say. How is the podcast going, and what are your plans with the future with the podcast?
So it's really fun. Bethany on my team has been awesome organizing all the people. We've had lots of suggestions from people submitted. And we have a pretty good calendar through the end of this year. There's a business to it, as you guys well know, to try to keep everything scheduled. I'm getting great feedback that people are enjoying it. We can probably do more of, and I'll work through this, of the little updates on city business, just to kind of people know what's going on. And I think it's just a start for me, honestly, about communicating differently with folks, meeting them where they are. And again, it was sort of selfish because that's how I consume news. And it's just easier for me in the car, in the bathroom, whatever, listening to podcasts. So I'm hopeful that people have taken to it and are enjoying it.
I think they have. It's helpful when you have a great partner to help you along the way.
It is. I don't have the fancy music that y'all have. By the way, what was up with your intro music today? Are you a little angsty?
Oh, that's our theme song.
It is now?
Yeah, I wrote the words, and Tegan Broadwater, our buddy, he did that. We said
it's called "Burn the Fort Down," which doesn't sound positive, but it really is. We're trying to get
I'm gonna have to listen to the lyrics.
Yeah, I can give you the scratch.
Why did you give him license over the music, JW?
He gives me a lot of license.
That's right.
We like it.
Goodness,
so we're trying something different, and we appreciate the guy that made it. So
I outed him, by the way, at AECT luncheon this week. No, it was ACEC. Sorry, engineer group that he works with a lot.
Okay.
And I said, how many of you know that he plays slide guitar? And only like 6 of them raised their hand.
Yeah.
So
the engineering community has not been my strongest fan base for pedal steel. We're working on that.
I'm shocked, actually.
Yeah.
Okay.
Usually I have to introduce these pedal steel bit to the show, but you brought it in today, which is very appreciated.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
thank you.
We are going to get my instructor on, who's like turning 70 soon. And back when I worked for a state senator, I got him the commissioner of pedal steel. She was governor for the day.
Oh, that's awesome.
So he has it hanging in his little store.
That's really cool.
And he's super good guy. So
what music, what podcast do you listen to in the car?
Lately, I haven't had time to lately because I'm
because Bethany's chirping at you all day.
Yeah.
It's all Bethany's fault. Poor Bethany.
Idea.
No.
Yeah.
Lately, I'll do Wall Street Journal, New York Times daily update, NPR daily update, and then I'll listen to Freakonomics. Has had a really few great episodes lately. I've listened to.
Right.
I'm always an active Freakonomics episode, and then I'll sometimes like to go like a Rachel Maddow and a Megyn Kelly, because then we live on 2 different planets.
Yeah.
So. I don't know. That's kind of fun to me sometimes.
What about
I'll actually learn something.
Music-wise, you said you're going to go check something out tonight, and then so what have you been
we're
listening
going
to?
to go see Sleep at the Wheel that are playing at the 20th anniversary for Central Market, which is really cool. We got to go see Eric Clapton at Dickey's last Monday. He was awesome.
Yeah.
Incredible concert. And it's Eric Clapton in Fort Worth. When did you think that was ever going to happen?
Yeah.
Right?
Never.
That was pretty
It's
special.
pretty awesome.
I know.
So how do you rate your performance in the first 3 months if you give yourself a grade?
I think maybe a B+.
B+?
Yeah. I mean, there's some things I probably wish I'd been more out front on, or other things that I think I was just right on. So I've tried to show up wherever I needed to be and provide, insight there. So yeah, B+.
Good.
And I'm an A student, so that's not good for me.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, there's room for improvement for us all.
Yes,
for sure,
exactly.
For sure.
Okay, so we've already asked you like best day of the life, but maybe we can ask best day of the life as mayor, thus far, kind of just compress
Best day
it.
of the life at mayor so far. Gosh, that's kind of hard. I'm thinking about really fun things we've gotten to do. Okay, the PBR announcement was really exciting.
Yeah.
Professional bull riders in Fort Worth.
Yeah.
And the culmination of so many people working hard to put Fort Worth on the map.
Mm-hmm.
So I think you're going to continue to see exciting announcements like that. So those are always fun to be a
Worst
part of,
day
for sure.
as mayor so far.
Worst day as mayor so far.
I was trying to end on a high note, but
Well,
I guess
we can
okay.
swing it around,
Okay, let's see this happen.
She's got range. She can handle this question.
Yeah. The worst days I wouldn't say they're just worse. It's just the ones where I can't breathe in between stuff. And I feel like I'm going one thing to the next.
It can't
and
sink in, right?
Yeah.
Like you're just
yeah.
meeting.
You know those little
meeting.
wind-up toys where they kind of bobble?
Yeah.
That's sort of what
Yeah.
I feel like sometimes. So
And then you go home and you can't go to bed because it's so much.
yeah. Although if I take a bath and watch Downton Abbey, I can go to bed.
Oh, nice.
There's my guilty pleasure. I know.
The Brits put everybody to
I
sleep.
know, they really do.
Yeah.
By the time this airs, the TCU SMU game will have been finalized. We'll see you hopefully not wearing an SMU jersey.
Yeah, come on, Horned Frogs.
yes.
Coach Patterson promised.
He did. Last night we were at the Hall of Fame dinner at the stadium. A fantastic event,
how
by the way.
fun,
Some new guys got inducted, but we saw Coach Patterson. We saw Jeremiah Donati, the AD. Everybody's excited about this. I know you are as well. So
good.
Hopefully,
what we need to do is get Mayor Johnson on with y'all. We can all come together and heckle
we
each
have
other.
We have tried Mayor Johnson. He's turned me down, but
I'll work on it because that'd be fun to get him over here.
There's something with the phone lines from west
just
to
stop.
east. Yeah, the tin can and the string
It
that
doesn't
just
work
gets
out.
too coiled.
Well,
or something.
he's also had a budget season for himself.
Sure.
You know, he's been working
Yeah.
hard. There's a lot more contention over there, and they have a new baby in their house, so they've got lots going on. Mayor Johnson and I actually share that in common. On not of many mayors across the country of we have young families trying to make this work, and he really started it as. And his wife has a busy job as well, so they're
one
juggling.
of our ideas is to have you on together
Yes,
to
I'd
talk
love
about
that.
it. He's got to. I got to re-engage with him, but he doesn't see the value. I think in a Fort Worth podcast right now, but perhaps in the future we'll keep pushing on.
Well, maybe
there,
before we reciprocate, we say
well,
we'll go
we
over.
have a friend who's got the Dallas Morning News podcast. Our friend Paul Corliss over there with UNT, and he does. So there is another avenue that
there's always
depending
an
on
avenue.
where the pie eating takes place, we may be able to put something together.
Any last thoughts before we let you go back to
No,
work?
I just love that you're doing this. Honestly, your studios are much improved here. This is pretty fancy.
We appreciate you postponing City Hall for us. That's really nice of you today.
Anytime,
So,
of course, of course.
Very nice. We appreciate your time, Mattie. Thank you for all you do.
Thank y'all for having me.
We'll see you again soon.
Okay.
Hopefully.
Thank you,
Sounds
Mattie.
good.
Here's some more of that angst music.